back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Chris Kelso. And in studio, actually, here with me, I have two of my favorite individuals that I am with all the time. I have Mr. Rob Cook with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Anderson Properties. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on again.
And I also have a great individual. He actually heads up all the marketing and sales here for a foundation repair company called PermaPeer Foundation Repair. Jared, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks for letting me come on.
Hey, it's our pleasure. You know, one of the things, first I'm going to start off, we're going to do this segment with you, Jared. Let us know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, Jared Benson with PermaPeer Foundation Repair. Been with them for about 3 years, and really I'm in charge of all the marketing, but my focus is on the real estate community. My job is to make sure that realtors are taken care of whenever they have a house that needs some work and they're trying to get rid of that house for a client, buying or selling. That's my focus with my company, making sure realtors are taken care of.
Well, you know, one of the things we speak about, we're here in Houston, we definitely have, we build on clay. You know, I mean, our soil is very clay-based. I mean, Robert,
exactly.
It's what they call alluvial soil.
Alluvial soil,
It's clay or mud that's brought in by rivers.
Gotcha.
And that's what it is. And it's very expansive when it's wet, and it's very contractive when it dries. If you remember playing with clay when you were a kid,
right?
You go find it when you hadn't been playing with it for a while, and it was dried up, and it got real small. And you add water to it, and it expands. That's what we build houses on.
Well, you know, and so let us know a little bit about, you know, from a foundation repair perspective. I mean, one of the things individuals don't realize is that just because you have a crack in the wall, we're not going, you know, here with cracks or anything, but just because you have a crack in the wall doesn't necessarily mean that foundation is bad. At the same time, there are things that can happen that you can't see when a foundation does start breaking. What do you do? What's your sort of process when an individual or a client calls you up to say, can you come look at my foundation?
Well, yeah, you know, you gotta take a lot of things into account. And all the engineers that we use and speak with say there's really three important things to consider when even considering foundation repair. One is the propensity for further movement. And just like Rob said, we're on clay. Everyone's got that. Check number one.
Right.
Number two is there a change in the actual foundation, that what we call the elevations? Is the house level? Many homes are not built level. Sometimes you get lucky and you have one that's pretty level. Sometimes they're a little bit off. So that one's kind of iffy. But the third and most important is what you just mentioned is signs of distress. There's those cracks, the separations, the pulling of maybe your veneer or your brick line cracks. You really kind of have to have all three of those to justify some sort of repair for a home.
And then, you know, the repair, I mean, one of the things that we see all the time is individuals are all scared about going in and having to repair a foundation. They find it to be this, you know, oh, it's, you know, this cross, I can't do it, I don't want to do it. But foundation repair is actually something very common and something that you can do that once it's fixed, doesn't look like you ever fixed the home ever before.
Exactly. You know, when I actually bought my personal home last year, and in speaking with some experts at my company, you know, really, if you can find a home that has been repaired by a reputable company, you don't have to worry about that anymore. So you're right.
And describe a little bit about the different types of repair techniques, I guess. I mean, there are some ways to get into the foundation. There are some techniques that you use. You have different types of foundations that you can actually repair. Go into a little bit about it.
Yeah, two of the basic types of foundations that you're going to see all over Texas. It's going to be your slab or your slab on grade, and it's just that concrete foundation that most newer homes have. Anything built after 1960 oftentimes is going to be that. And then you have your pier and beam homes. Some of your homes, I mean, homes were built like this going all the way back to the 1800s, and they can be built on what's called a Bodark stump, some of the really old ones.
Gotcha.
And that's a wood structure that's elevated off the ground by a couple feet.
And you know, which one's more common that you see, or is it about even here in Texas?
Well, now it's going to be your slab foundation. Anything,
okay.
So everything built after 1960 almost is going to be a slab. All the new construction is slab.
And then most of your slab have that post-tension in it nowadays.
Yep, anything built after mid-1980s or so is going to have these post-tension cables that really help hold the foundation together when the soil starts to move. So it'll allow the foundation to flex and give a little bit more before any sort of repair is needed. So it is a benefit.
And what are we seeing now? I mean, obviously one of the things is there anything you see, like, a home 20 years or older has a better propensity to it versus a new home, or is it really sort of across the board? Soil really doesn't treat a new home versus an old home differently, does it?
No, not really. My home is 30-something years old and has never had work done, and it's because of the soil I'm on.
Right.
There are certain areas that are a little bit better. Either there's not as much clay, or the clay is much lower in the soil. And then you get homes that are 4 years old that are falling apart. So it really comes down to the location and not necessarily the year the home was built.
And what all, I was in a house the other day. It was interesting. I was able to put a penny on the ground, on the floor, and it actually rolled across the floor, which I think was a pretty good indication that there was a slab problem there. But it can also affect a lot of other things. It can affect plumbing, it can affect your electricity, your wiring, it can really, if it's not caught in an ample time, it can really then be a point in which is there something called not repairable at that point? I mean, how do you determine that?
We've had clients come to us and say, an engineer looked at my house and told me it was unfixable. And it's not that anything's unfixable. Anything's fixable for a cost.
Right.
You can do whatever you want, and there's a way to fix it, but there does come a point where maybe it's not worth fixing it.
And, and Rob, from a real estate perspective, how do you look at that?
One of my favorite answers is it depends.
It depends.
People don't like that answer, but that is the answer. And of course, you've got different kinds of issues going on, and you've got to surmise what the issue is. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it requires internal repairs, and you have different techniques. You use a kind of a cable lock system, do you not, for your repairs and some poured in place, and you make a determination as to what you're going to use once you go out and see what the issue is. It might use different technologies.
We do. We have a staff geologist that works for us, and so we really like to make sure that all of our repair plans are customized to that home specifically. We offer a variety of different types of repairing methods, so we don't put concrete piers on every single home we repair. We have concrete pressed piers, we have steel pressed piers, we have drilled piers, we can mud jack homes that need it, we can do pier and beam work. We can use a cable to secure our pressed piers as well to make sure that there's no side-to-side movement on that pier. And so we offer a variety of options because sometimes what's right for one home is not right for another home.
Well, I never realized that foundation repair had so many different alternatives for it, by the way.
It is. That's why I said it depends. And you have a lot of sandy loam soil up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yes, sir. The DFW area has a lot of that. But actually, you guys here in Houston, it's a much bigger problem.
I would imagine. And Rob, from a resale perspective, how does somebody look when they've had a foundation repair versus not?
I think it stigmatizes a house to a degree. There's some people just like, slab repairs, I'm just not going to deal with it. And there's always that person out there.
Right.
But typically, especially with a company like Perm Repair, they're going to offer a warranty, and I think it's probably a lifetime warranty.
It's a lifetime transferable warranty on our pressed piers.
And so it gives a lot of people comfort. It's like, it's been addressed, and we probably won't have the issue. But if we do have an issue, we know who to call, and they've been in business a long time. They're a very reputable company. So I think it goes back to it depends.
It depends, right?
It does.
And y'all have been in business for quite a long time.
Our current owner purchased the business in, I believe, 2003, but the company has been operating under the name Permapier since 92, which you're not going to find too many companies like that in Texas.
Right, and you got some. I do know this. You got great staff. You have great crews all throughout Houston here, for example, that are very good. They show up. They're timely. Bonded, insured is what you are, and more importantly is the job that you do and the job site that you leave, from what I've seen, is absolutely immaculate. Because one thing people don't want to do is they're also afraid of what it's going to look like during that process.
Absolutely.
And y'all are very meticulous in the way you address that.
Yes.
I went through a foundation repair that I'm in a townhome, and it's a big monolithic slab, and I had to do internal piers, and I had to live with that. They drilled holes in the middle of my living room. So it can be stressful. That was really interesting.
I can only imagine.
Broke up all my tile, and then, of course, you can see people down below, working.
Absolutely. The process of foundation repair is very messy, and so the cleanup after the fact is a big selling point within. It's a sign of comfort that these homeowners get that, oh my gosh, my home looks awful, but then the next day we're gone, and they can barely tell we've ever been there.
That is amazing. Well, for all those listening this morning, how can they reach you, by the way?
They can give us a call. Actually, one of the best ways is probably going to be to go to our website, www.permapeer.com. We do service all of Texas, DFW, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin. We do commercial work. We also do work with some of the large and national home builders. But residential homes is our bread and butter that we like working with homeowners, with realtors, property managers, whoever that might be. And you can easily get a hold of us through online forms or giving us a shout from that number on the website.
Gotcha. That's permapeer.com, and you can go out there and get free estimates. So if anyone's listening this morning, they think they might have an issue, they might have a need, look up permapeer.com. Great individuals. You'll go out there and do a free estimate, correct?
No charge estimate. We can almost always get out to look at your home within less than 48 hours. This is the busiest time of the year for foundation repair. So if we can't do it in quite 48 hours, please be flexible with us.
Oh, that sounds great. Well, again, that is Jared Benson. He is with PermaPeer. He is in town today and all this time, by the way. So, Jared, we really appreciate you being on board today. Appreciate you coming on to The Price of Business. As usual, we have to take a break right now. But for all those listening, stay tuned. We'll be right back.